Well, hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Monday night live stream. I am elated to be here as I am every Monday night. But tonight's a very special night because we have returning guests. We had him on the program not that long ago to talk about television, and we've been putting off the getting him on the live show here and there. He's sick today, so we're gonna be respectful of him and his time. But it's none other than my good friend Dave Sundstrom. I'm going to bring him on in just a moment, along with Thrash Pondo Ponce. He's also in the queue, ready to come on. But I wanted to let everybody know that I'm going to be doing a channel update here pretty soon. I am so excited about you guys. Like, I want to thank everybody for subscribing and all the new subscribers. If you decide to join us this evening, I'm elated. I've got 929 subscribers as of today. However, I have to say that does not lead into the amount of times that it takes to watch a video to get my channel monetized. I don't know if I said that right, but I think everybody knows what I mean. So everybody out there, please watch the videos. It would mean the world to me. I am a little over half of what's needed out there. But with that said, a little while ago, because I hadn't had Dave on the show for a while, I wanted him back on. And what do we talk about when he's back on? We talk about TV. And the original program was to have it be about like our favorite shows as Gen Xers, but we're really kind of centered around the boomer generation and why we like them. And it turned into this amazing philosophical talk about TV and future of TV and family and TV. And as always, I want you guys to have your input on this as well, to ask us any questions you want. So with that, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring my guests on. First of all, we have Thrash Pondo Ponce. How you doing, my buddy?
I'm doing awesome. How you doing there, little buddy?
I'm doing great. Thank you. And we have our special guest who we haven't seen on the live stream on my channel in quite a while, none other than Mr. Dave Sundstrom. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. As you mentioned, I'm fighting a cold or something. I don't really know what it is, some sort of bug. But we will soldier through. And you know what? I think just visiting with you guys is part of the cure.
Thank you.
Well, good. Yeah, it's nice to be part of the cure and not part of the problem. As always. It would be nice to have been part of the cure, like part of the band The Cure. Then we'd all be independently wealthy.
I was working on that. I was working on that joke. I'm glad you got it.
They're still around, so you still have a chance, Ian. Robert Smith is still out there performing.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I haven't gotten around to call him yet. He contacted me. I was just like, hey, I'll put him off. I got to do my DoorDash job, and so the Cure has to
I heard that he knows you're working on a YouTube channel, so he doesn't want to bother you.
Exactly. Well, before we get into tonight's topic, let's go ahead and just get this ball rolling. Thrash, let's say hi to the people who have made it to the channel this evening.
Let's. Lance Chafin, my man, is here. He says, I'm the first like, and that's actually yay.
Yay, Lance. Thank you for being here. And yes, please hit that like button, everybody.
Zoomplex is here. He says, what lies in what lies in store for the future of television? Very Rod Serling-esque there.
That is the question I want to ask before we get to it. Let's say hi to a few people, but that is like one of the things I kind of want to lead with.
Shadows of Grief says hello.
Hello, Shadows of Grief. Glad you could make it this evening.
Shadows of Grief, by the way, is our friend. I don't know if you know Justin Aylett, but he's been on my live stream a couple of times. Great guy and new name. I think he's got a new channel. So for those folks that remember Justin, make sure you say hello to him.
There's a young lady here who needs no introduction, Miss Amanda Smart.
Hello, love. Glad you're with us.
Terrell Eugene Bellinger, better known as Teb, is here. He says, hello, everyone here.
Hello, Terrell. I'm going to be answering your questions here very shortly, within the next week or two.
And Cindy D is here. She promised me she would try to make it tonight. Cindy D is here, says hello, everyone.
Hello, Cindy.
Tracy Roth Myers is here, says hi, Ian Dude. Hi, Robert and Dave. If you're there, we certainly are.
She probably said that prior to us appearing on screen. So
Daryl Johnson, my other brother Daryl, says, hey, guys.
Hey, Daryl.
And the Unapologetic Geek, otherwise known as Tug, says, I'm here.
Hi, Unapologetic Geek. Sorry I was not able to make it. We had an event after church, and it's the last. We had a small group after church, and it's the last small group for the summer. So we wanted to make sure we wanted to meet that small group. But I'll be available pretty much all summer to be able to talk. So, okay.
And Tom Lemery is here. He says, hi, Ian. Hi, Thresh. And hi, everyone.
Hi, back to you.
And Steve, the Life and Said ending, says, hi, Tom. I assume he means the rest of us as well.
Hello.
And with that, I think we're caught up.
All right. Well, I mean, Dave left us for a second here, but I wanted to lead with that question of what is the future of television? What do you think, Thrash? I mean, if you were to predict the future of television, and Dave is back. Whoever wants to go? Well, let's go with Thrash first, and then Dave as our guest, so you can go after that. Dave, Thrash, what do you think the future of television is going to be? What's it going to look like?
Well, funny you should ask. One thing, before we move forward, Dave, I noticed you're wearing the Thrash T-shirt, by the way, a touching memorial.
Quite lovely, isn't it?
Cool. I'm still waiting on mine. I got a very nice email from the folks saying, hey, the shirts you ordered were out of stock. They're on back order. We'll email when we send them to you. That's why I'm still, now, I still love me my Pat's Retro TV shirt, but I'm dying to wear my own merch. So, but Dave, I want to thank you for wearing it in spirit.
Yeah, and let me just point out that I got an email from YouTube yesterday, and they gave me a new discount code. Currently, we have the discount code Thrash, which gives you 15% off, I think. But YouTube is offering a 25% off discount right now. So if anybody would like one of these lovely shirts, or a Good Stuff shirt, or a Floyd's Barbershop shirt, just click on any of the items below my videos, and then the code is YT Shopping 25. YT Shopping 25. Just in case you're interested in picking up a Thrash Pondo t-shirt. How do you like that falsetto?
Beautiful.
That was great.
Music to my ears.
That was great.
Thank you.
Do you have to be monetized to offer merch?
No.
Okay, I need to maybe talk with you about how to get that set up with some merch.
Yeah, I think there's varying levels, but you might be eligible for that, Ian, so we should talk. Because it's fun.
Cool. That would be cool. Yeah, it is fun. And I like my logo, my little retro cereal logo.
Yeah, that would be cool to put on a t-shirt.
Coffee mug, cereal bowl. The bottom of the cereal bowl.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Good idea. So with that, though, what's the future of television? What do you think the future of television is going to look like?
Well, that's the funniest, and I've been putting a lot of thought into this because I've kind of seen the evolution of TV. Now, granted, I wasn't there at the very, very get-go when it was still black and white with the round screens. But I remember I was talking with Barry from BK on the air and whatnot, and we were talking about those first massive, gigantic console TVs, the ones that was like basically in a giant wooden cabinet, and they were color, and they were 24 inches, and there was a sign you made some money if your household had one. But the funniest part was back then it was still what they referred to as the campfire TV. There was one in the house, and either they watched it as a family, or the kids had to go to their room and read a comic book while the adults watched what they wanted to. But I watched that branch out. Like, I was actually talking last night on my channel about how I was like 11 or 12 when my grandparents found a cheap black and white portable at Sears and got it for me for Christmas. And I thought I was the king of all creation because I could actually watch TV in my room. Now they have TVs in every room in the house. That's pretty standard stuff. But the darndest thing about TV is not so much the actual device itself, which has evolved very, very much. It's the diversity. I mean, when I was young, if you didn't have cable, you were like literally you were living off the grid. Do you guys remember those old TVs? They had those like the two screws in the back. You'd have to actually screw in one of those the double prong adapter to get your cable in there. We always seem to lose them when we moved. I got to the point where we moved a lot when I was a kid. I used to take one or two off old TVs and I would hide them in my stuff so that whenever we moved or anything, there was always one readily available. Because invariably, whenever we moved, I had to go a couple days without TV. But it's not just the TV itself now. You can watch TV on your laptop. You can watch TV on your PC. People watch TV on their phones while they're hopefully not driving, but while they're getting ready for work, while they're on break at work. You can watch TV anywhere. So I think what's going to do is I think it's actually going to kill cable. I mean, like altogether down the road. I mean, cable's probably got a few years left in it, but it's a niche which is being filled by so many other sources. These streaming services, YouTube. I can't remember the last time I went on YouTube, searched for something, and it wasn't there. You can watch it because my forte is old sci-fi horror movies. Do you know how many hundreds of them there are right here on YouTube? I mean, if it wasn't for the high-speed internet access, I would cancel my cable already. In fact, some people say you could probably get a better deal with other formats, which I'm actually considering. And as far as the actual medium goes, one of the things I've noticed is there seems to be two schools of thought. And they used to joke about this when MTV came out. People's attention spans were getting shorter because they were watching music videos and not whole shows. There was a commercial where this like Valley Girl type girl, she was like watching MTV. She's like, "Wow, this video's been going on forever." And her friend says, "That's a movie." And she's like, "Oh, you know." I've noticed. Yeah, I've noticed. There's two types of entertainment these days. Ones are getting shorter. I mean, heck, YouTube now is resplendent with shorts. Danny is making a living cranking out these, and they're really cool. They're like 30-second movies. A lot of other people are doing it too. But these like shorts right on YouTube where they're basically commercial length, but still a microcosmic entertainment. All the way to going to the other way, where miniseries are actually 2 or 3 seasons long, like The Last of Us, like Game of Thrones, which are basically one really, really, really long TV episode. So you'll see those two extremes. People either watch these little micro bites of entertainment, like when they're waiting for their Uber to pick them up, or binge watch these mega epics on their days off or when they're homesick. And in a nutshell, an awfully big nutshell, I must say, but in a nutshell, that's where I think entertainment is going.
Very cool. Very cool. Dave, I want to get your opinion on this as well. Before we do that, if there's anything new in the chat, any new people we need to say hi to, I think a couple people have showed up.
Yes, very much so. I was going on for a long, long time. Tom the Hungry Jerk is here. He says, "Hi guys, just listening," which is code from him for "I'm at work, but I'll have my phone on." I'm trying to see if there's anyone who wants to say hello. Oh, Cindy D brought up a good point here.
Well, there's this Constance Cherry, so I just want to say hi to you as well. And you said Cindy D brought up a good point. What was it?
Streaming services have taken over and cable is dropping. Social media will be the TV of choice. I can pretty much concur with that.
Steve Tevis is here, aka the Life of and Sad Ending. He
we said hi to him, didn't we?
You may have already said hi to him, but he said a couple of really interesting things. One, apparently he shouted out your channel today on his channel, Thrash. in the community section. So that's
Thank you.
super cool. Hopefully you'll see a bump in subscribers, at
Thank
least
you,
a
Steve.
couple. And then the other thing, he asked a really interesting question, which is, what do you think about AI writing scripts for TV? Do we think we're going to see that in the not too distant future?
What do you think, Dave?
I think we will. I think we are already seeing it. I think there's YouTube videos being written by AI. I think you can go to Open Chat and you can say, "Hey, write me a YouTube video about Jason Bateman," for example, and it will put something together for you. Now, what I think will happen is that they will become fairly easy to recognize because AI is still limited, and there's zero personality in AI at this time. However, I don't think we're too far away from saying, "Hey, YouTube, write me a video script," or "Hey, write a movie script in the style of Stephen King," and with these elements. And I think AI will put something together that may not be Stephen King at the top of his form, but at least it's somewhat resemble his work. So I think it's an interesting thing and an interesting question that Steve asked. One that I'm really excited for. When you ask about the future of television, I think the bigger question is the future of media and what's happening with it. You hit on it, Thrash. You talked about really what you talked about is that at one point, Nee and you and I talked about this in the last video. At one point, we were happy to have whatever the big 3 or 4 networks provided to us. We just felt very grateful to have whatever programming was foisted upon us during those primetime hours, and quite frankly, as we all know, it was pretty good entertainment. But nowadays, that just doesn't work, and what we have instead is all of us have a tremendous amount of choice. That's the future of TV or media, is the amount of choice that we have, whether we watch long form videos, short form videos, whether we get them off of over the air signals, cable, streaming. It's just, it's almost too much. There's almost too much choice to the point where I think there's a bit of paralysis by analysis as you try to figure out what to do and what to watch. But it's for those of us that are willing to dip our toes in the water and try things that are different and try things new. I think we will discover that there is just a tremendous amount of incredibly awesome entertainment out there on all sorts of communication channels, whether it be TikTok, YouTube Shorts, or YouTube itself, Netflix, some of the streaming networks that are free, even like Tubi and Pluto. I love some of the stuff that they're both the more current content as well as some of the retro content they're broadcasting. But just what a world we live in with all the choice that's available to us.
Right. I think that you put on something there, Dave, that I really think is important. Is like, it's not just going to be TV; it's going to be media. I think we're going to see those two blend together. Where at one time we had TV, and we had TV shows, and then another time, then you had YouTube, and then you had Netflix, and that where it's just going to be your media stream.
25 years from now, no one's going to call them TV shows. They'll be programs. There'll be something, but they won't be called television shows. Right.
And when you think about the future of TV, we think about like the media, like what's going to be playing, but we also think about like what's it going to be playing on. Like what's the thing we're going to be viewing? And I think it's probably going to be standard in homes to have like a pad or something like that you just press. Where I think we're already seeing that, like you just, just comes standard in homes where people just kind of press a button and it shows up on your wall, almost like they did in that Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, the I forgot which one it is.
Was it Running Man?
Yeah,
or was
no,
it
not Running Man.
Mars movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Mars one. Yeah. Total Recall.
Yeah. Thank you. I couldn't recall that.
Total Recall. That's
Right.
it. Yep.
Total
That's
Recall.
irony. I couldn't
I do-
recall Total Recall.
I don't think the handheld device is going to go out of existence because I think we're all going to need it, although it'll change in different ways. The one
It's too
thing that I think
portable.
is going to, yeah, the one thing that I think is going to die, though, it's going to die hard, is the 23-minute made for commercial shows. Where you have 23 minutes and it's it's exactly 23 minutes, so you can get those 3 sets of commercials in. That's just going to be gone because you can run a commercial at any time throughout a show. And then plus, if you pay a little bit more, you don't have to see commercials. So I think that's just the only time we're going to watch those is when we're watching old movies, old television shows. So I think that's going to go. It's going to go out. That's going to go out altogether. To even think of, I think in 10 years, nobody's going to be thinking, every 15 minutes or every 10, 15 minutes, I've got to think about a commercial break and resolve my show around that. I think they're just going to be thinking the one long program or the short program or whatever it is. And you already see that too. Like, so I was a big fan of Arrested Development. But Arrested Development originally aired on television where it was, the 21 minutes or 23 minutes and you had the break, went to Netflix. And now Netflix, the Netflix ones, which I hate, they're not very good at all. But now they're not 20. They're like 41 minutes or 36 minutes or something like that. They're not even considering being on the air, and I think that's going to go as well.
It's kind of nice. You bring up the Arrested Development, which, by the way, I didn't mind those later seasons. They certainly didn't hold up to the quality of the original seasons, but I soldiered through them and found them entertaining in their own way. Another show that transitioned from broadcast television to streaming is The Orville. And folks that know me know what a huge Orville fan I am, simply because it checks all the boxes for me. Being the Next Generation fan that I am, The Orville is the closest thing we've gotten to Star Trek The Next Generation since Star Trek The Next Generation. The Orville, when it was on Fox, of course, it was an hour-long program, so you had 51, 52 minutes to play out an episode. And you're held to that, right? That's what you have. You have to broadcast that show within the hour. When it moved to Hulu, and now it's playing on Disney Plus as well, those episodes, Seth MacFarlane took exactly whatever amount of time it took to tell the story. And those stories run from 50 minutes to an hour and a half. And some of them are literally movies. And some of them are an hour and 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. The great thing about that is, and again, it is the future of media, is that creators are no longer constrained to that half hour or 1 hour time block. They can go out and tell the story that they needed to tell, and hopefully they don't pad it, right? They just tell the story they need to tell and take the amount of time that's required to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I enjoy that. I enjoy that, actually. I don't, getting it all. I mean, obviously it's not like I'm missing it, like if I get it in 21 minutes or something like that, or 51 minutes, they can tell a story in 51 minutes with, a good beginning, a good middle, and a good conclusion. But it's always nice to have the option where you just kind of tell, like if you want to expand it or you have more of a story, you don't have to expand to make it into 2 episodes. It is nice. You're an Orville fan. I didn't know that.
I watched a handful of episodes over the weekend. It just, to me, it is the best science fiction that has been broadcast, whether it's on network or any sort of communications channel, streaming media in the last 10 years. I just really, really, and I love the evolution of that show. The first handful of episodes had that more of that quirky Seth MacFarlane humor that you see a little bit of the Family Guy in it. But he quickly realized as he was making that show that he was making something much more special. And it very much, evolved into a show like Next Generation with its own wonderful and beloved characters. One other thought though on the no constraints. Another thing that I'm really enjoying seeing is creators realize that they don't have to make 10 episodes either for like a streaming season. We're seeing with The Last of Us, I think there was 7 or 8 episodes. That's what it needed to tell the story. There are even some that have been 6 episodes. What I love is they're not padding it. They're not trying to fill out time for advertisers or, I've got to deliver a 10 episode season. I've got to deliver a 13 episode season. Instead, they're giving you whatever episodes are required to tell that season's story.
Right. Yeah. All right.
Definitely.
What do we got in the comments?
We have a number.
Go ahead,
Keith E. I'll do the intros first. Keith E is here. He says, hello, everyone.
Hello,
and
Keith.
Zuplix says, I predict there will be no over-the-air programming in the future. Everything will go to streaming.
I think that's probably the case.
You might be right. Even the over-the-air programming, there's a new standard for it called 3.0. And what they really want to do is lock it down and not have it be free. So even folks that are trying to get their programming over the air with these, as people move from 2.0 to 3.0 with the over-the-air broadcast standards, it's going to require a set-top box like a Roku or something. And essentially some channels may get for free, others you might have to pay for. So I think ultimately, whether it's streaming or some other mechanism, albeit kind of over the air, we're going to require set-top boxes, and we're going to have to, in many cases, pay for it either through forking out dollars or watching advertisements.
And I think advertisements will always be, there. I think, because that's bread and butter for the cable for whatever streaming service.
We're seeing it with
you'll just have to pay more.
Right. Well, you see things with like Pluto and Tubi. They're very popular services. And the reason they can be free is because they're advertiser supported. So there's a place for that. And quite frankly, I don't mind it.
The amazing thing I like, it's so funny when you watch like old style TV shows and made for TV movies, especially when you watch them on YouTube where they don't have the commercials in them. Mark Zickery's LA 2017, it was really, really obvious because you could actually hear the jingles in the background, but they literally had to write it into the flow of the story. I mean, you'd have this really dramatic event, and then the music would go up, the camera would zoom in on somebody, and it's like, oh, look, they're going to commercial. Now they don't have to restrain themselves to these ridiculous protocols. They can let the story flow as they see fit. The one thing I wanted to say before about the time constraints, the story shouldn't be held to 23 minutes. Sometimes it should be more, sometimes even less. Shows like Night Gallery hit the nail on the head with that. What they would do is they would show the show in its entirety, and if there was time left over, they'd throw a few vignettes in there to sort of fill up the time. But they wouldn't force a really good horror anthology piece to have to pad out to hit the proper mark. And I thought that was great about that show. And others have done the same thing over the years. Tarilla Gene Bellinger has a good point here. He says, Ian, how do you feel about the current writers' strike?
Whew, boy. I don't know. I didn't even know there was a writer's strike, quite honestly. So I had no idea there was a writer's strike. My life has been so filled with a lot of different stuff right now that I haven't been able to get around to that. So I apologize. I don't know, but I'll let my guest talk about it.
Yeah. I have a thought, which is one, I hate it. I hate writer's strikes because one of the very first writer's strikes that I remember happened in 1980. And it was right after the first season of Buck Rogers. And it was the writer's strike that really did Buck Rogers in, because there was this long delay between season 1 and season 2 which was enough time for the stars to start, in particular, Gil Gerard, start complaining about the quality of his scripts. He wanted more messaging. He wanted his show to be more like Star Trek. He wanted it to feel more dramatic. And then the creative team wanting to appease their star and also kind of trying to think, how can we improve ratings, which were fine during season 1, make them better in season 2. They started tinkering with a successful show. And by the time the show returned for an abbreviated season 2 after the writer's strike ended, we got the whatever the heck that was season 2, which completely changed major characters, took Buck Rogers on a starship. I can't remember the name of the ship, the Searcher. I do remember the name of the ship. We put him on the Searcher with an all-new cast. They wanted to fire Erin Gray, who is Wilma Deering, and all of us young men know how critical it was for her not to be fired. So they kept her on, but they changed her character, and they took her out of spandex. And not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but again, she really, her and spandex, they just went together.
Of course.
Anyway, long
right.
story short, the writer's strike significantly impacted Buck Rogers in the 25th century, and I believe destroyed that show. Now, all that said, I think writers, as well as anybody else, they deserve to get paid for their work, and if they feel like they're not getting the value that they deserve for their efforts, then they have every right to strike. But I think you see these unintended consequences, like some shows when they return are going to be different, suffer, and it isn't like you can just turn it off for 6 months and then turn it back on. There's a ramp up period, and sometimes things change a little bit, even on your favorite shows.
Yes. Yeah. Right on. Yeah. All right. Any other questions in the comments section or comments that need to be addressed?
This is a personal address that I have to do to thank Steve. He says, Thrash, check your sub numbers. I did a shout out for you on my community tab. Steve, I thank you in advance. I'm sure it paid off handsomely.
Steve's been a great supporter of all of us. Steve has just been a rock solid person who has been there from the beginning, like Dave has as well. So yeah, thank you, Steve, for
Steve Tevin is a fantastic individual.
Yes, he is.
Oh, and Cindy, speaking of ratings, Cindy D says, I was a Nielsen ratings person again. Didn't even fill it out. I don't watch TV anymore. That's a sad.
Do they still have Nielsen's ratings?
Yes, I was just a Nielsen family too for radio. And I only would listen to radio in my car, so it was a very short diary. But my mom and Mrs. Thrash got involved, and we did our obligations up to the $2 a piece they gave us.
Okay. Well, the $2. Wow. Okay. Gotcha.
Tom Lemmer brings up an excellent point here. Cable should not jack up their prices, and maybe people won't get rid of it. Brilliant. Supply and demand. I couldn't agree with you more. Gentlemen? But
let's get to the root of that. Why does cable raise their prices? It's not necessary. Some of it's greed, but it's also because the channels that they carry they charge the cable networks, right? Mm-hmm. And there's these big entities such as Disney that require, if you're going to have if you're going to have, let's say, ABC, you got to carry ESPN, and you got to carry all the other Lifetime and ABC Family or whatever it's called these days. You got to carry all of their networks. Viacom does the same thing with their MTV networks, and Scripps does the same things with like HGTV and Food Network and their networks. So what happens is the cable companies end up at the negotiating table, and every time they're at that table, they're being asked to pay more for those channels, and they're being told they have to carry them all. And as a result, we can point our fingers at the cable company, and sometimes it is their greed, but other times it's the greed of others. It is always about greed, but but it
Yeah,
isn't always the
yeah,
cable companies that are the villains. They are sometimes just the what do you call a crony? They're the cronies. They're not the villain.
gotcha. Right, right.
Well,
I
unfortunately,
got
they're
rid of
those people.
cable. I got rid of cable pretty early. I mean, when the dish came out, not the big, huge dish. You had to crank and turn. I don't know if you remember those in the '80s, where they first when the huge dish came out. But when dish came out, it was a little satellite on there. We got rid of that. We got to that pretty early. It was really nice actually to kind of get rid of cable. It didn't really end up costing any more or less, but I just found it easier to navigate, and it was just kind of nicer. I don't know, it's just kind of nicer to not deal with it. Go ahead, Thrash.
Oh, I was just going to say, as Olivier put it, people lash out at an enemy they can reach. We blame the cable company because that's the next in line. It's like, well, when I work in a restaurant, and like, why are you charging so much for a steak? Have you seen wholesale food prices lately? It's like we have to buy it, charge a reasonable markup, and pass it on, or stop altogether. And the cable companies, yes, while I'm sure they're certainly taking care of themselves, they are also sort of straitjacketed by what the market is allowing them to do. And so they're not, as Dave, as you would say, they're not entirely to blame, but they're the ones that we
Yeah.
entirely hoist the blame on.
Well, that's who we pay our money to, right? So, and then they pay their money to all these other major media conglomerates.
Years ago, there was
Well,
this woman, and she
they're not the only ones that kind of pull little tricks. I don't know if you know this or not, but like Netflix and Hulu and stuff are famous for like starting series and then not finishing them. There really has to be kind of a big fan base, because what they want to do is so they create this amazing series, the great first season, and they are reluctant. They drag their feet because what they're trying to do is get subscribers. And then you subscribe, and then the chances that you'll unsubscribe are kind of limited. You'll drag your feet on unsubscribing. You'll forget about the, $10, $15 a month kind of a thing. So I don't think the greed thing is going to happen in all media.
It will be interesting to see what happens. I think the streaming landscape is going to change dramatically over the next 5 years. I predict in 5 years, YouTube will be around, but that's the only one that I would be willing to bet money on. The other streaming networks, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, HBO Max, Peacock, Paramount Plus, they are all reporting major losses over their last quarters. They're not making money on these ventures. They are losing money. For example, Paramount Plus just had their quarterly earnings report. Paramount, as a major company, right, lost, what was it? 100, no, excuse me. They lost, Paramount Plus had $500 million in losses. And
wow.
The company Paramount as a whole had doubled that. So what is that? $1 billion
and change,
losses, right?
Wow.
But to think that just the streaming network, because within Paramount, you got the motion picture studio, you got CBS, you've got a bunch of different conglomerates there, entities, right? More than I can think of, Viacom. But within that, Paramount Plus, this fledgling little streaming network that was started, a year ago, lost half of the losses. 50% of their losses for the quarter was just on the streaming networks. None of them are making money anymore because it's so competitive. They're spending too much to be competitive. I really think YouTube, that's the future of streaming. And I wouldn't be surprised if Netflix were gone in 5 years.
That I could see that happening. I mean, you think of like all the other like there MySpace and all the and Google Plus and things like that try to ride on it, and there always seems to be the horse in the race, the Facebook and different ones that kind of keep it going, and I think YouTube is that. I think YouTube is the way to keep going. Except for they had that whole debacle a while ago where they tried to make everybody join Google Plus. Do you remember that?
Well, Google Plus is gone.
Yeah, I know,
Google
but they
Plus
tried
is
to
gone.
change
They have
everybody's
Evans, right?
channel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, well, okay, so let's get to some more comments in the way, Thrash.
Sure. Tug says, I can't say for certain that you guys aren't AI, or maybe even I am AI. Quick, somebody give me a VK test. I'll flip the turtle, I swear. Nice reference to Blade Runner. Love it.
Cool. Yes. All right, but you have to obey the Isaac Asimov's 3 rules of robotics if you are AI, though. Okay, Tug.
Not if you're a replicant.
That's the deal.
It doesn't count to replicants.
It's true.
Oh, Cindy D says, now there's an AI American Idol type show. Other countries such as Japan already use AI to create news broadcasts. It's coming, Dave.
I believe you, Cindy.
Yeah.
I believe you.
You know, I remember
think AI is going to be. Let me say this one thing because I wanted to say about AI and I forgot. I think AI is going to be a great help for a long time. Like if you don't have an idea, you can get AI and then you can kind of adjust with it. You know what I mean? Like AI can write a script and then, okay, you can take all the impersonal stuff or all the rough edges out of it with a person. So I think it's going to be a great tool with a person or a team of persons to use. So you can say, oh, I want to create something like the facts of life or something else or something, more current. And then, it'll write the basic skeleton of it. And then you can kind of monkey with it to make it more fluid kind of a thing. I see that as definite possibility with AI.
Until it destroys humanity. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But I remember I learned about this in college. Back in the 70s, they created a computer program that was intended as an artificial intelligence therapist. And what would happen is you would say something to it, and you'd be like, you'd interact with it and be like, how are you today? Well, I talked to my mother. Well, tell me about your mother. And what it would do is it would take the framework of your sentence, it would cherry pick key points and get you talking. And they found it was actually pretty effective. If they could do that in the 70s, there's no reason why it couldn't write scripts in the 21st century. So I'm willing to give it a try. And Ian, I think you are right, nail on the head. It could do rough cuts. And a person with 25, 50 years of writing experience could be like, okay, we'll polish this up a little bit. Oh, good idea here, but we'll put that there. And we'll make it the mother instead of the father. And that type of thing. So I think as long as there's a human touch, I think they might actually have something here.
I heard an AI cut of a Nirvana song. And it was AI. And I would have believed that, like, oh, this is a Nirvana song they just found or something like that. I would have believed it. I mean, I wouldn't really have any reason not to. But I would have believed it for sure. So I think AI is going to be a big thing in the future.
A while ago, because you don't know what a World War II buff I am, I was playing this sort of online war simulator. And they said it has a primitive AI. It can actually learn. And I go, yeah, Pa, so of course it can. I was using a strategy which I had made up myself. And by the end of the game, the computer wasn't using a similar strategy on the outset, but by the end of the game, it was. It was taking my moves and trying to use it against me, like a little kid learning to play chess. It was a real sort of moment. It's pretty amazing what the AI can do. Zuplik says, there's an AI Japanese news moderator already. I'd like to see that. Oh, and
Koro Kukamanko, I forgot his name. He's a Japanese guy. He's Hawaiian, I think, and he was on Joe Rogan recently, and he was talking about AI, and he said that the problem with AI right now is AI can bring together things and stuff, but it doesn't know the difference between truth and false. And it can't discern that yet. Yeah, well,
neither do people.
But it can't. but it can't, like, even with basic facts, like, who won World War II. So if you wrote something out there where you wrote an alternate thing about who won World War II, the AI doesn't know. It can write a paper saying that the Germans won World War II, because it doesn't know that's a lie or that's made up. That's the big problem with that right now. But okay, let's get to the comments, because I know that we're behind.
Tom Lemmy says, Zuplex, they may deliver much ado about nothing. Oh, he said something earlier how I'd like to see an AI write Shakespeare. Levin Sedating says, when it comes to YouTube, the competition is becoming overwhelming. I try to think of new things to do all the time. Some work, some don't. It's the wild, wild west.
I think Steve's really hit a point that we are going to have to think about in the future of media or TV as well, which is YouTube is fueled by creators, right? Mm-hmm. And I think all of us that have been doing it for a while understand what it feels like to continually feel like we have to come up with a new video, and then to sometimes have those videos fall flat on their face, and how disappointing and demoralizing that can be. And then to see that, every month or so, it feels like the field of creators out there that are doing the same type of videos that you're doing doubles and doubles and doubles. And as such, we're going to see over the course of the next few years, I think we're going to see some major creator burnout with some pretty big folks. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point in the next 3-4 years, we see Mr. Beast say so long to YouTube. And Steve, I feel your pain, buddy. I feel your pain. I'm trying to come up with new ideas, new things to do as well. And some of them work and some of them don't.
Yeah, it's tough. Actually, I filled out a survey for YouTube not that long ago. It came up on my creator page, and they might, I'm in the running of doing an interview with YouTube. They said that they'll pay me for my time. They'll compensate me for my time, but it's supposed to be like on Wednesday at like 11 or something like that. They said that we'll let you know if we need you. I mean, I hope they do, because I'd love to talk with them. I hate the standard in monetization. I hate the standard. I think if they're making money, we should make some money, even if it's a few cents. You know what I mean? Like, even if 100 people watch a video and you're getting this, if they're putting ads on it, let us get the money from that. Why do this, 100, 4,000 hours and all this stuff? Let's just share the money right away. I mean, if they're making money, unless the channel closes down or something like that.
I'll play counterpoint to that one, Ian, which is okay. I just said how demoralizing it is to see every month it feels like there's twice as many people out creating the same type of videos that I'm creating. If you decide, if Google, YouTube decided to monetize everybody all at once, do you realize how quickly we would see the number of creators and the field multiply over and over exponentially? I think that's the danger. And I think that's the reason why the limitations are on there, is to keep people from, to limit the playing field a little bit, to keep the people that are out there creating right now and being rewarded for those creations, to keep them still feeling motivated. And I here's where I agree with you, though. I don't know if their current solution is the right one. I feel,
Good point.
Great example, right? And Pat McCormick is a great example. A couple of channels that have been out here for quite a while, been working hard. And at this point, there are, you can't be fully monetized. But I do think, and this is where we'll have a conversation offline, I think you're probably getting to the point where there's some limited monetization options for you, even within YouTube, not just outside of the platform on like Patreon or, Buy Me a Coffee. So I think there's places out there. So we'll talk about that offline sometime.
Okay. All right. Yeah. It's it's going to be interesting. I didn't even think about that. I'm glad you brought it up because I do agree with you. It's just like, yeah, if you did that, then everybody would kind of. But again, is the current solution the right solution? Especially like maybe they could do time in, like if somebody who's been
I
nailing
like
it for
that
a
idea.
year,
I like that
maybe
idea.
then go.
Have that be one of the requirements. You have to have been creating videos, at least 2 videos a month for the last 24 months. Have it be something like that, in addition to maybe the 1,000 subscriber requirement. The 4,000 hours, everybody disregards that one and they focus on the 1,000 subscribers. But I think you'll agree that that actually can be the tougher of the 2 metrics.
Yeah, it is. The 4,000 is what I'm struggling with right now.
Yeah.
Please, everybody out there. And like, it's like, I want to get it, but I don't want to cheat. I want to do it right. Cause I know that what YouTube does is, they have a reason for doing what they're doing too. They have to make sure that advertisers are getting with the right people because the advertisers are paying them. So they need to make their money as well. But so I'm like, this is far from cheating or anything like that. But if you're out there and you've got an extra computer and you want to keep it on, to play some of my videos on it, I would so appreciate it. Just make sure it's on and you're watching it from time to time so you can say you're legitimately watching it. It would mean the world to me. I know it would mean the world to all of us, but to me, yes.
Do what I do, folks. Just put on one of these live streams as you settle on into bed and off to slumberland. And I guarantee you, I'm not saying we put people to sleep, but what I'm saying is we are the perfect conversation for kind of just mellowing out and getting ready for bed, and play that entire live stream. If Ian had, he has so many live streams and 1-hour podcasts out there. If people just really actually played the whole darn thing and listened to it while they were doing dishes or getting ready for bed or brushing their teeth or whatever, don't even have to watch it. I mean, come on, look at these faces. You don't really want to watch it, folks. Just listen to the conversation. We'd get Ian over those 4,000 hours before you know it.
I have a very soothing voice.
That'd be great.
That's right. Yeah, and I was speaking about my mug, not these 2 handsome fellers up here.
No, I don't know. All right. Well, let's get to some words of wisdom, though. Please take what Dave said to heart, but let's get to some comments. Thank you.
Tug says AI, or at least what we're calling AI right now, is just mimicking. There will be no new ideas or originality. I know that's a rare commodity as it is, but still, there are things AI cannot replace. There's no new ideas now. Sorry.
Not yet. Not yet. It won't be long till we get in our C-3POs and R2-D2s and things like that.
Oh, and Cindy D brings up an excellent point, similar to what I was saying earlier, that TV will be like TikTok, short and sweet. If they can break that half-hour mold, I can certainly see like 5-minute vignettes here and there, and that'll be like TV. It'll just basically go from one little vignette to another, just like on TikTok.
Yeah, I hope we don't get to that point where that's all people watch. But I'm with Cindy D. I do agree that it's a delightful way to spend, like, say you're waiting for a doctor's appointment or something, and you got 10 minutes. You don't know exactly how long. You don't want to commit time to something that's longer form. TikTok is a delightful way to scroll through, 10, 20 videos while you're waiting. I found myself actually enjoying that tremendously, and I never thought I was going to be a fan of short form content. But I certainly hope that we don't become a nation, a society where we can't handle material and conversation that is anything longer than 60 seconds. That would be a true tragedy. And Thrash, I'm sure you've seen it, but and if you haven't seen it, I don't want us to see us go down the route predicted by the prophetic Mike Judge in the movie Idiocracy. We cannot let that happen.
Yeah. I love Mike Judge movies, man. They're great. That would be bad.
Well, but that's
The
why
grass.
you still have things like Game of Thrones or The
Yeah.
Last of Us, things that you literally binge watch. I mean, you can watch these things for hours in a stretch, only limited by how many times you have to run to the bathroom.
Which is a lot when you get to be my age.
Mine too. But during the shutdown, which is why I think we first started seeing things like HBO Max and whatnot, everybody thought the cinemas would never recover. And frankly, I'm not sure they fully have. They're still hobbling along, but they're still with us. But HBO said, hey, we'll give people the option. They can go to the theaters, and if they don't, they can watch first run movies here. But during the shutdown, my wife and I watched Game of Thrones in like 3 days because we were climbing the walls. And but again, people develop that habit. I mean, yeah, they're working now, but you have days off, or when you're free afternoons, or if you can't sleep, you just put something on. And literally, the term binge watch, it comes out of this style of viewing. Oh, Tracy Rothmeyer says, I think people enjoy having a selection of things to see. Now they could see them in their own time. That's a huge point, Tracy.
Mm-hmm.
They will have to wait till, I'm guessing they will not have to wait until 7 or 8 o'clock to see the show they could see anytime.
That's the biggest difference that I see right now. Like, that's one of the main things. Not only is the personal devices, and we went from the TV being one thing in the house where everybody had to watch what was on, to everybody having their own TV to kind of, but now that was a big deal. And then now what your show starts when you push play, and that's going to change a lot. That's going to change. I mean, it's already changed. It's the biggest thing that I've seen change right now, is that you don't have to wait that once a year to watch Wizard of Oz. You don't have to, or you rent it on video or whatever. You can watch it whenever you want to watch it.
Indeed. It's basically TV at will.
Yeah.
Choice.
And that's why we're not going to call it TV. We're going to call it media programming.
Yep.
Let's get some rapid fire here. I want to be respectful of Dave. Dave's not feeling so good, so we don't want to extend it too long here.
Tug says Dave's going to want to watch something, and the TV is going to start saying, I'm afraid I can't do that, Dave.
I'll just, when that happens, I'm going to take a sledgehammer to Hal, and we'll be done.
Oh, Keithy says, very good 2001 comment, Tug. Yeah, Zuber started earlier on because we'll start singing Daisy and then end with a Star Child. Oh, Zublik says, I think the idea for the moment, Lance, is to provide some content free and then go to a total pay service, as they did with Hulu.
I think it's going to be a two-tier. Right now it's really a two-tiered system. All of the major networks, like for example, Tubi is owned by Fox. Fox is owned by Disney. And so Tubi's the free service for the paid Fox service stuff that you see on Disney Plus. So you got the two prongs, and I think we're going to see that a lot. Pluto is owned by Viacom Paramount. And so again, you see a lot of Viacom product on there, and you've got Paramount Plus, that's the pay portion. You've got Pluto, that is the free portion.
Right.
So I think they're trying both sides. And again, I think if we looked at the numbers, I think we'd see that Pluto's making money. I think we'd see that Tubi is making money, and Disney Plus and Paramount Plus, they're not. So unless they can figure out how to fix that equation, what's going to happen is the opposite of what was just predicted there. Disney Plus, Hulu, also, which is also owned by Disney right now, and Paramount Plus, and those paid ones are going to disappear, and we're just going to get stuck with streaming services that they may even want a couple bucks from us a month, but it'll be advertiser supported.
Yeah.
I can see that.
I think you're dead on with that, Dave. I think
Definitely.
that is what's going to happen.
Oh, Tug says sports are the biggest driver of cable companies having to raise their prices. I
Very
know, and I don't
true.
even like sports.
Sports and news. Those are the two things that are costing you the most money when you pay for a cable package.
And it's unfair because, like I say, some of us don't like sports. You know.
Yeah, I don't watch any sports either.
Some of us don't like news.
Well, can you blame us these days?
News either. I don't watch much news either. As a matter of fact, this is why I do like advertising, because it kind of lets you know what's going on in the world. You know what I mean? Like there are things out there that I'd be like, oh, okay, you know, it's kind of fun to see advertisings because then you know what's going on in the world.
Shadow Grease says, my question is, how many shows can Gordon Ramsay create just to be able to say it's blanking raw?
Oh yeah, I don't know.
My wife is scared of Gordon Ramsay. She leaves the room when he's on. She can't deal with it. Oh, speak of the devil. Hey, Mrs. Thresh. Yeah, she can't stand Gordon Ramsay. She's like, and it's like, I'm like, hun, I work in kitchens. That's what they're like. She's like, no, it's mean. Let's see. Oh, Cindy D says cable, internet, and phone services in a bundle is expensive as well. It certainly is.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see. I just jumped. Sorry, guys. Keith E says, I watch the Beverly Hillbillies on Pluto. It's just sad to go all the time. X. I'm sorry. I think Siri betrayed him there. Oh, look who's here. Wajamin is here. Says, hello, everyone. Finally made it. Welcome to the party, Marty. Superlick says, remember, gang, YouTube is owned by Alphabet, which owns Google. Is that true? I did not know that.
Yeah, Alphabet is the parent company of Google, and Google, of course, is. So really what it is that YouTube and Google are two smaller companies that are report up to a parent company called Alphabet, and that's your stock.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, just like Facebook is actually a smaller company within a company called Meta.
Oh yeah, I heard you talk about that the other day. Meta, I barely know
her. I thought Google was the company, and then YouTube was under Google.
At one point it was, Ian. You're right. At one point it was, but they restructured things and made Alphabet the parent company. And then Google and YouTube are two smaller companies. So the search company and then the media streaming company are separate.
We're gonna be like Demolition Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to be like Demolition Man. We can only eat at Taco Bell. Where it's going to be, we can only eat at Taco Bell.
That's okay. Taco Bell's a fine, wonderful establishment. Love me some Taco Bell.
Teb says, I just learned that Hulu and Disney Plus are removing some of their original content. Streaming services did this all the time.
Yeah. So basically what they're doing is Disney Plus right now is removing some of there's a John Stamos basketball show that was on. I'm trying to remember the name of it. A handful. Oh, Willow. The new Willow is being removed as well. What they're doing is actually removing some shows where they're paying some media rights to other companies. So if everything's not held within, and if the shows weren't popular, they don't want to continue to pay the ancillary fees to these other media organizations. They're just taking them off the streaming network. Totally understand. As a matter of fact, if anybody tried to watch Willow, I don't think it's a big loss. That Willow that came out last year was a true disappointment.
Good to know. Good to know. It does suck that somebody doesn't have the option. I didn't realize that you had to they have to take it off for monetary.
It'll probably show, those programs will probably show up somewhere else on a Tubi or on a Pluto, or depending on, they'll show up on a free streaming service with ads. Of course, there are pieces of software out there, Teb and folks, that if you really wanted to record those shows before they left, you could record them on down to your hard drive. But I'm not advocating that kind of stuff. That's the only thing I would ever
We're not
advocate is
advocating that kind of behavior.
the only thing I would ever advocate is time shifting, which is the Supreme Court has said is completely legal to do. So if you want to record something to watch it later, you're totally allowed to do it.
Excellent. Go Supreme Court. Keith E says, are they way behind in reading the chat, or is it just me and I'm lagging?
We are hugely behind.
Hugely behind. Let's run this for about 10 minutes more, and let's maybe just rapid fire with the comments. That's the word I'm looking for. I don't have brain damage.
Teb says, when Nickelodeon was first launched nationally on April 1st, 1979, it was originally a PBS-esque educational channel appealing to kids. It didn't really found its footing until the mid-'80s.
Very true.
Yes, love
Very
Nickelodeon. True. Love Nickelodeon.
Shadow of Grief says, it may not be necessary to read every comment, otherwise this live stream may last as long as Cleopatra. Very sporting of you.
You know what, though? Has anybody hung out on Retro Nerd Girl's live streams? She literally will go 4 or 5 hours on a live stream. So, be careful what you wish for, my friends.
And she reads every comment.
He's going to get his hours that way.
Sometimes she'll read a comment of mine, and I'll have forgotten that I made it because it had been so far back. I'm like, oh my God, I did ask that question. Yes.
On her first live stream, Thrash, I made a comment, and she'd gone so long. I think it was like a 7-hour live stream. I made the comment. It was like 11 o'clock at night, and I just sit there and listened and wondered if she was going to refer to the comment at all. It was like 3 hours later. So that is the problem, folks. It's with a live stream, you can choose to do one of two things. You can choose to have a conversation with your guests, or you can choose, as Thrash does marvelously on his own ginormous, fantastic live streams, where he just kind of reads the comments, and you can stay up pretty quick to what everybody's saying, but you have to do one or the other. And so I'm grateful that Ian has made the decision to let us have this conversation today, because I found it to be really useful. And you know what I'll do, and I do with almost every one of my own live streams, and frequently with yours as well, is, you know, if I'm listening to the conversation, is I'll go back and rewatch the live stream again. Hey, another great idea to build the Ian's hours. Rewatch the live stream, this time focusing on the comments. So, you know, you can't do both. It's just we're human beings, and people like to think we can multitask, but we really can't.
I got almost 1,200 comments on my show last night.
That was an amazing show. I mean, think about who showed up to that show. It was incredible.
Everyone. It was like Mount Rushmore. Everyone, people I hadn't talked to in ages found that show. People I talked to all the time. You, Barry, Pat, Steve, all the biggies, all my friends here were there. Cindy apologized she couldn't make it. She was having dinner with her daughter or something, but she promises she'll make the next one. But, and by the way, and the Roman asked, was that well done of your lady? And the handmaid replied, very well done, as befitting the last of so many a noble ruler. Scene. Hey, you said you wanted Cleopatra. Yeah, that's the final line in Cleopatra. Speaking of Cindy D, creators need to listen to their audience more. We give them topics, and they never do them. So I write about them on Medium.
Yeah. I try to listen, but you know, I mean, one of the I do, and I used one of Cindy D's, and I've actually used a couple of Terrell. One of the problems I have is I have so many ideas of my own that I want to do. You know, I'm never out of ideas, personally speaking. Like, I'm never out of ideas. I'm always thinking about that. I always think, oh, that would be a fun thing to do. Like, there's a toy store here, a Reboot toy store. That's a bunch of 80s toys in there. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to film it. I'm going to talk to the guy. You know, like, that's something that I'm going to do here real soon. So, I mean, it is a matter of wanting to please the fans, but the fans are there because they like what you do, you know? So, like, it's you know, you
We
want
were
to do
talking
both.
about this before the live stream, I think, Ian, or maybe it was during the live stream. I can't remember now. But we are, as creators, we started doing this so we could tell the stories we wanted to tell, right? And somewhere along the way, communities came, and
Yeah.
lots of great community members who had suggestions, and every one of those suggestions is valid and worthy of consideration. And then there's a third thing that we discover. We discover, for example, myself, if I do a particular type of video, particularly, I'll tell you right now, if I do videos about death, people getting really sick or really near death or almost dying or they've died, and I think the life and sad ending can attest to this, Steve. Uh, our audiences love those. So you have these three things:
Yeah.
the videos you want to make, the videos your community tells you they want you to make, and then the videos that they really want you to make that they don't tell you about. And you're torn as a creator with, okay, which video do I make next? Do I make one that I want to make? Do I make this great suggestion from Cindy D? Or do I know that if I make this video about the death of Burt Reynolds and how sad the broken relationship he had with Dinah Shore was, which just, by the way, passed 1.3 million views. That
I was going to say.
Oh, wow.
You know, you're torn with which one do I do next? And the temptation is to always do the one that you think is going to get the most views. But that is the one that's the most demoralizing for you as a creator, because that's not why we started making videos. We started making videos because we had particular stories that we wanted to tell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Excellent.
That's true.
Excellent point, Dave.
All right, let's go for you got 5 more minutes for us, Dave, before you can sit down for 5 more minutes. Let's do 5. Let's do rapid fire comments again. See how many of these we can get through.
Sure. Keithy has a great one. Yes, I feel like one of those old guys on the Muppets here. They need to say what they need to say. It's all good. Thank you, Keith. Tug says, I'm friggin' loving the conversation. I'm not too fused about you not focusing on the comments. Keep doing you, Ian.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that.
Daryl Johnson says, you are the creator. Do your thing.
I love it. Tom Lemery, go up to that Tom Lemery comment that's right above that. That's not necessarily true, Tom. There are tons of clickbait and trickbait videos out there, and typically you can identify them just by the thumbnail that's clearly like, the ones that show this 5 minutes ago, Ron Howard dead or whatever, and they'll show a picture of a healthy Ron Howard on one side and then someone in a hospital bed or something. There are those clickbait or trickbait videos. I like trickbait. It's a great word out there. But the reality is, in Steve's videos, The Life and Sad Ending, he was one of the first creators that really understood this and did it well and did it legitimately and authentically. He did these tributes to stars that had died and passed away. And what happened was, over the course of the next, he'll tell you about this if anybody wants to listen at any point, but people saw how successful his videos were, and they started copying his titles. They started copying his thumbnails, and they started saying people that weren't dead were dead just to get clicks and essentially, like Tom's saying, trickbait. But it's not trickbait or really clickbait if we all understand that if we're talking about, for some reason, we as human beings, human nature is we actually enjoy watching videos about people suffering because it makes us feel better because we're not suffering. It's what's it called?
Schadenfreude.
What is it?
It's a German word, Schadenfreude.
And explain what that means.
It roughly translates to selfish joy.
Right.
It basically, long story short, what it means is, well, it takes Shakespeare, for example. Shakespeare always wrote about wealthy, powerful movers and shakers people having terrible, terrible lives. And it's because the common folk didn't want to see the rich, powerful ruling class in their mansions and estates having a wonderful life. They wanted to think, well, you guys are actually having it worse than we do. And it makes you feel better about your lot to know, well, it's like misery loves company, but exponential. I don't want you to be as miserable as I am. I want you to be more miserable than I am, so that I can say I'm doing
I'm
okay.
less miserable because you're more miserable.
So I'm doing okay.
Yeah, I'm okay.
There's an old there's an old
It's
Boston
crazy.
comic. There's a Boston comic. His name is like Lenny Clark. He's still around. He does commercial and stuff locally for Boston. I saw him years ago do stand up, and he goes, "I like to walk through graveyards at midnight with a bottle of scotch and say, I'm doing better than everyone here." And that's really what it all boils down to.
Yeah.
Right.
But Tom, very good point. Very good point.
Got a new face in the house here.
Haluga. And the YCDTOTV. And a YCDTOTV to you as well, Don Paluga.
Yeah, I'm not sure who that is.
Don Paluga sounds like a character out of The Godfather.
Oh yeah,
he sounds like a Boston comic, actually. In fact, didn't I see you in Harvard Square back in '89?
All right, well, everyone, we're going to go ahead and draw it to a close here. Sorry we couldn't get to all the comments, but that's just the nature of things. We just can't get to all the comments, and just want to really appreciate everyone in the comments for making them. You know that we're not going to be able to get to all of them, and thank you for my guest Dave Sundstrom, and the guest as always Thrash Pondo Ponds. Please by all means subscribe, like, share, and listen to Dave.
Hey,
put
can I say one thing real quick? Ian?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. I just want to say this. I'm not going to talk about my channel or anything. I'm just going to say, Tracy, I wish you the very best this upcoming weekend. I'm still planning on doing a live stream, and I'll mention it then as well. But I hope everything goes well this weekend. And you're such a valued, tremendously beloved member of our community. So hope all goes well.
Yeah, I missed something there. I don't know but anyway, Tracy, if you want to let me know, please, by all means, you have my number. So text me. Love to hear about what's going on. And I might be doing a upcoming live stream soon about a special event.
I can't wait to hear about this. That'd be so
well.
Yeah. Wow.
You're gonna have to wait. All right, everyone. Well, thank you. Like, comment, subscribe. Take care, everyone, and stay retro.